What's up, guys? This podcast was brought to you by 138. We're a new streetwear brand. If you haven't checked us out, go to www.138.co.nz. Cop yourself something. Enjoy the podcast. Yeah, bro, got you.
What's up, mate? How are ya?
Not bad, bro. How are you?
Oh, chilling, bro. Chilling now. Good.
Thanks for jumping on, boy. Fuck, it's been a while since we finally got it going.
Appreciate you. I know. Fucking acting like we're busy. Got nothing else to do. Can you hear me sweet? Is that all right? Not
Yeah,
too
bro.
much?
Yeah, bro, I can hear you. Good.
Sweet.
You got that new mic set up or what?
Bro, I've got the most hoary setup here. Look at this. Sitting on a bunch of books in the old man's office.
Oh,
Sounds all right, though.
that's where it's all started, bro. Jackson Thomas, bro, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother. Bit about myself. Founder, sort of one-man band here at Vintage Kit, which is how you and I sort of linked up, I suppose, is kind of the first thing that comes to mind. Auckland born and raised, 26, failed footy player turned journalist, as we all are. Yeah, bro, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Do a bit of work for stuff.co.nz, writing about rugby league mostly, covering the beautiful Warriors. Work for YKTR Sport as well, do a bit of their stuff. We do show and go 3 times a week, that potty. And yeah, slang vintage clothes out of my apartment in Mount Eden here in Auckland, bro. It's pretty much me. That's pretty
what's your setup, bro? Like, so you live with mumsy?
Nah. So I live with the missus. We live, I'm at my parents' house now. My parents are away. They're back up north. So we've come to look after the cat and all that good shit.
Yeah.
So just me and my fiance and her cousin live in the city, like Mount Eden, rather.
Yep.
There's a sick little spot there, heritage apartment. It's kind of like big open plan thing, 2-beddy.
Looks interesting.
Does the job. Yeah, it's mean, bro. There's like this little, you would have seen it, like this little sort of, I don't even know what you call it, like conservatory or sort of like enclosed deck area. It's not quite a deck, but that's where I can do, like I've sort of taken that over as like podcast, studio, photo shoot area. I kind of run the whole vintage thing out of there, which they love. So yeah.
Mean, bro. What got you into like the vintage kit sort of thing? Obviously, I've heard a couple of your things, and you sort of always been into it, kinda. But
yeah, a little bit, man. Like I think you and I are quite similar, and like well, there's a lot of people sort of like us, bro. We kind of, we all grew up loving sport, and we all grew up loving. Not even fashion. I don't like saying fashion because that sounds high end, but we like wearing cool shit, whether it's kicks or, it was snapbacks for a while there back in the day, I'm sure, when you were coming through, mate. So all that sort of stuff. And I just, I don't know, man. I always wanted to, like, part of me always wanted to work for myself. Like, that was always, I mean, everyone wants to do that, right? You don't want a boss. Everyone hates a boss. Even if you got a grouse boss, you want to be your own. So part of it was that. But it kind of, the whole vintage thing just started for me, mate, with, I always loved American sports, and I loved the feeling of rocking, especially back here, because fuck all people rock it. Like I love rocking those old NFL jerseys and singlets and that. And I used to get mad sort of clout when you'd be walking around and the boys like, fuck, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? Yeah. So it was more just a bit of a flex. Like for anything, I used to buy when I was in my teens, every time I pulled together like $100, which was, 3 weeks work for us back then, mate. But and it just, about last year, I kind of saw a little bit of a opportunity for something a little bit bigger. Part of it was also that I saw a bit of a ceiling on my 9-to-5 job. Not necessarily a ceiling, but I saw that there was a limit kind of on earning and both growth in that field. Like, to give people a bit of context, I'm a sports reporter. If I ever wanted to start making big bucks, you'd have to move into whether it's an editor role or a digital producing role, or you get on the executive board, then you're not writing. So I always want to write. So my thing was like, fuck, okay, I want to write, but I also want to make a bit more coin. So vintage for me was kind of this vehicle to follow a passion, which is fashion and old school shit, but also supplement my income so that I could keep writing without having to move up the corporate ladder and kind of get away from the footy side of it. So I tend to ramble a bit, by the way, bro. So
nah, you're all good. You're good. That's all good, bro. So how did that sort of process go for you? Like you obviously you started wearing stuff, got a bit of clout. Like obviously it sort of moved into a couple of people wanted to buy stuff, and is that kind of how it grew?
Yeah, bro. I owe a lot to Josh. I'm going to fuck up his last name. I think it's Harris, who's one half of the Earls collection boys. So it's him and
Okay.
Louis do
Oh yeah,
Earls.
yeah,
And
yeah,
when
yeah.
I first sort of, I'd never met the guy before, right? But when I first sort of, fucking hell, this chair's dodgy. The old man's been sitting in it all day. When I first sort of thought, right, I'm going to have a little nudge at this, my plan was to, take out a business loan and buy heaps of gear and open up a shop and, go that route. And I started sort of talking to Ice here and there as well, and he kind of said that that's a dumb idea, basically. Yeah. And I was like, nah, fuck him. He knows, he's just a footy player, doesn't know shit. I need to talk to someone else. So I reached out to Josh, didn't know him from a bar of soap, and he goes, yep, sweet, come here, buy me a coffee and chew my ear off for as long as you want. So I met him in Parnell. This is last year, about March last year. And he was like, yeah, nah. He kind of said, mate, the best thing to do with these is to own your circle. And it's something I always fall back on. He said, mate, get 10 shirts and sell them to 10 of your mates.
Yeah.
And he's like, how much is that going to cost you? I was like, $100, $200. And he goes, cool. How much could you make off that? And I was like, $400, $500. He goes, cool. Then you buy 50 shirts and sell them to 50 of their mates. And that's kind of the model I use to scale out. And what that means is I started with no debt. First of all, I had no overheads. Yeah. And selling to your mates is so easy because they want to support you. Good mates do anyway. Most boys want freebies, but good mates will support you. You'd know that, mate. And it allowed me to sort of scale. I could tangibly scale because I could physically see my circle as it was growing. It wasn't like, I was selling in West Auckland and then all of a sudden someone in Scotland bought my kit. It was like I could see it slowly growing out, so I could adapt with it. I could adapt my marketing with it. So I owe a lot of the growth aspect of it to Josh, and I sort of just started like that, selling to my mates who sold to their mates, and it kind of just kept rolling on from there, man.
What it was like the biggest sort of seller for you, like that you've always found kind of sells real quickly, like in terms of kit, and with like how obviously vintage, and you would be a little bit more into vintage than some people that just wear the clothes because they like the look of it. Do you find that like certain clothes that have a bit of, I don't know how you fucking say it, like history behind it, like a bit of, there's something behind it, those sell way quicker, or?
Yeah, like the whole thing with vintage is it's nostalgia, right? So there's an analogy, I think it was not last year, the year before, I think the highest grossing shows on Netflix, I think it was 2018, or the most viewed rather, were The Office and Friends. So it's like, we've all seen that shit, but it's just nostalgia. It's how it makes you feel. Like, I guarantee, bro, like you would have 5 or 6 movies that are like, 5 or 6 movies that are go-tos for you that you always watch whenever they're on, like whatever they fucking are. Yeah. And it's because it's how it makes you feel. And that's what the vintage does, is it's not just, you're not just buying a t-shirt off the rack that everyone else has. You're buying part of the story. So circling back to your question, anything Bulls related, people love Michael Jordan and that whole story. So Bulls shit snaps up. I personally I don't really like the Bulls stuff, but that's just a personal thing. But Lakers stuff, like anything with legacy behind it or a story behind it, that's what sells. And it's part of what Isaac John and the YKTR boys have sort of taught, is like, what's the difference between YKTR's gear and anyone else? It's, you've got your own thing going, but their gear's a lot of very similar to what other people are doing. So is your gear is not changing the game. It's nice 100%. Kit, but you're telling a story, aren't you?
Yeah.
And so that's what people buy into, bro.
I rate that. Yeah.
That's what makes you different as well, man. Like, without, patting you on the back too much, because I've got to keep you honest, but like there's been, I've seen probably 20 or 30 people try and do exactly what you're doing without the story side of it there. And it's not, you don't have to be super comfortable putting your face in front of camera or jumping on a mic like you've done, but just finding a different way to tell a story. Yeah. That's what people buy. So when they buy one of your jumpers, it's not just, oh yeah, it's a cool jumper, that's why I bought it. They're like, oh fuck, have you seen the bro doing this? Oh yeah, buy one of his kit. And then it makes you feel a certain way when you rock it. So that sort of stuff always sells better for me, and I'm sure it does for you as well.
Yeah, bro. I've learned that from, just like you said, Ice and that, because how I got into the potty and stuff is I was actually listening to the Ice Project. And then I heard your name thrown in there a few times. And the biggest thing I got out of it was like making a story, like you just said, like with people buy stories, people buy, and they're entertained by storytelling. And if you sort of make something where, like, I'm big about kind of creating a brand as opposed to a business, like,
yeah, it's almost secondary,
making a brand. Yeah.
That's
and so
thing.
people are like buying stuff.
Sorry,
bro. People are sort of buying stuff, like sort of buying your clothes because of, who you are, not the clothes itself, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, man. Anyone who thinks, and I told this to a couple of boys, there's a couple, not a couple, like if I'm honest, there's probably 40 or 50 people that have reached out since I started and said, love your shit, I'm starting a vintage clothing company, right?
Mm.
And I say the same thing. I'm like, cool, work hard, document
Yeah.
the journey. It's like a
Yeah.
little thing that I copy and paste, right?
Yeah.
Probably, if I'm honest, maybe 5 of them have done it.
Yeah.
The rest of them create these real cold accounts. They spend too much money on buying clothes, and they're like, bro, I'm selling the same sort of shit as you, but it's not selling. Like, can you tell Ice to wear one of my shirts? It's like, I'm not selling stuff because Ice wears one of my shirts. Like, it's, I mean, obviously influencer marketing does work, and we can get into that, but it's the story element behind it, and the fact that people feel like they've been a day one follower, so they're now a lifetime customer, and their value goes from buying one shirt for $100 to buying 10 shirts over the course of 2 years, and now all of a sudden they're $1,000 customer, and and if you have 1,000 of them, we'll fuck your way laughing. So I mean, I think that's probably why you and I sort of connected so easily, is because we both try and do the same thing. And whether we think it's a super interesting journey or we're super interesting blokes, I mean, we are, but it's like it's just telling a story, isn't it? It's just documenting our lives. We're no different than 10 other blokes who could probably do this. There's probably going to be 10 more better than us start tomorrow. So yeah.
Bro, do you reckon? I've thought about this before. Like your sort of persona, like your personality. Do you think that kind of defines how well you can do that storytelling kind of thing? Like some people, it's sort of they're really good businessmen, but they don't turn up to a party, and because I know for myself, and I know you'd probably be the same. After you've had a few beers, like fuck, you can tell a yarn. Like you start spinning yarns, and you love telling a story. Like
I've got
people
some
that aren't like that. People that aren't like that, does that kind of, you think it sort of limits them in that kind of sense?
For sure, man. There's a reason the biggest personalities, whether they're celebrities or sports people in the world, aren't, there's, okay, let's look like this. There's a reason that Kieran Reid isn't as big a global star as Sonny Bill. And it's not because he's a worse player. It's because Sonny's got this different sort of swagger about him and this different sort of way he carries himself. There's a reason Quade Cooper is a bigger star than, let's say, James Maloney. Is Maloney a better player? That's rugby league. It's probably not the same thing, but you know what I'm saying? Probably, but Quade's got something about him and the way he speaks. Kobe was the same. Kobe was never going to be Michael Jordan or LeBron, but for a while there, he was bigger in the grand scheme of things because he could tell a story. So there's absolutely a limit. Not everyone, like we said before, not everyone's comfortable jumping on and telling a few lies like you and I, but there's other ways to do it. And that's why I say, like, for me, it's written. Like, I like to write, so I can blog. Maybe that's the thing you do. Maybe you can't blog. Maybe you create mood boards. So one of the boys, it's called the Corner Post NZ. I don't know if you've seen him buzzing around. He makes like sort of bespoke prints, like graphics, artworks, like he does Muhammad Ali ones, Mike Tyson one he did for me. If you check him out, it's at the Corner Post NZ on Insta. Okay. But he's a really nice guy, but he's quite a shy guy. He's not super sweet doing this. Like he would be a bit awkward doing this, but he's got a fucking amazing product. So I said to him, I was like, mate, there's a way you can tell the story, and it's through your product. So he documents how he makes them, how he creates them. He does mood boards. Like mood boards are an easy way for creatives to express themselves without saying anything. So there's ways to do it.
What's a mood board?
It's kind of like, I don't do them, but it's kind of like a gallery swipe where it's kind of just like, he'll put up a bunch of different pictures, like convertible and then Kobe and then one of your shirts and then like, they're kind of like the way he's feeling. And it's like, it's a real sort of artsy, creative way to tell a story. So it goes a bit over our heads, mate, but it's like, but that's their way of telling it, So to answer your question, there's a limit because not everyone can be the loudest and funniest bloke in the room, but you can still tell a story, just find a different way to do it.
Yeah. So content, that one of the big things I thought about there was content for you, obviously, and obviously learning from us as well. Like I can see that it's massive for you. How do you do you have kind of like a plan in place how you do it, or you just kind of just pump it out as much as you can?
Yeah, like I should. I'm pretty sporadic with my content, but
because I'm the same.
Yeah, like I know there's loose things in place with YKTR Sport. It's like 6 posts a day minimum, and we allow sort of Lukey does like 6 or 7 React posts a day. But for me, so am I the only bloke selling vintage gears at the moment? Fuck no, there's 1,000 of them, But where I find my niche is that I'm creating the best content, whether it's value or whatever. And there's a bunch of people that don't like it. That's sweet. Like I don't give a shit. But I create content for blokes like you and I. So all I think when I buy clothes, when I sell them, when I tell the story is, would I, as a consumer, like it? And so far it's worked, thankfully. But content for me is just like, I do still get, like, if I'm being honest, I get that anxiety sometimes if like it's been 3 or 4 hours and I've had no activity on social media. I do start to feel like, what the fuck am I doing? I got to post something. But I don't post out of necessity. I start to just go, all right, and I'll post the fact that I've done nothing. Like, I'm very aware that I should be doing more. But I'm also very aware that when I do shit, it's got to be valuable. I'm not just posting a picture of a sports card because I pulled a new sports card. If I'm fucking amped about it, I'm just saying that now because it's sitting in front of me. But like, if I'm amped about it, I'll post about it. But I don't like filling shit for the sake of filling shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100. So, well, that you sort of answered it there, but like the marketing kind of, do you have any strategies you use? Like you just said, it's quite sporadic, but do you like use different type of marketing, like use your Facebook, Instagram ads, that kind of stuff?
I don't do Facebook at all, so there's a big shortfall of the business. But it's kind of funny, and like it'd be good to actually get your thoughts on it. I suppose is like I sell out on basically only using Instagram as my only sales funnel.
Yeah.
So I know that casting the net wider is definitely the go, but I see Facebook ads as an investment that at the moment I don't need to make.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely will, like, as the business scales and shit like that, I'll definitely do it. Yeah. But at the moment, my whole marketing is all built upon exclusivity, right? So I don't bulk buy. I'm going to go down a bit of a vintage rabbit hole here, but bear with me, bro. So a lot of vintage resellers, the big ones, so who are some of the big ones? Like Vintage Marketplace is like Big Grouse in Australia. They're unreal. Yeah. Restated Vintage here in NZ. I think they're in NZ. Restated Vintage here?
Yeah.
I think they are. They're like one of the big players as well. So what they would do, mate, is they would bulk buy, right? So they will have suppliers and warehouses across the UK, most likely, the States, Canada, Malaysia, all that. And they get in these giant bundles of clothes and drop 100 fucking items every Monday, like clockwork, bang, bang, bang. What you get in that is a lot of content, a lot of clothing. Yeah. Whereas what I do is I handpick something and I'll get 100 pieces, but it'll take me a month to get them. But I know that every single piece is the fucking get. I've physically seen photos of it. I physically know I would rock it. I know the fit. I know the style. I know how it smells. I know how crusty the graphic is. I know if it's got a stain on the back. Like, so my whole marketing is built upon building up to these drop days where I can give you every single fucking detail of every item that I know is fire. Yeah. Whereas with these other perhaps bigger companies, you got to sift through a lot of shit to find a diamond, you know? Yeah. So kind of circling back to something.
Bro. Do you think that will put a cap on your sort of growth, like where you can, how much time you have to sit there and handpick every piece of every item you get? Does that put a you know, like a roof on, like, say you can sell 1,000 things that month, but you haven't necessarily picked every item?
Yeah, so the thing with that was, so when I start to look at scaling bigger and bigger, as soon as the workload gets too much for me, it'd simply be a case of whether it's my partner or bringing on someone else who gets the game, who understands it, you know? So I'm very I'm an absolute geek with it, so it'd have to be someone who's very similar, but there's people out there, there's people that do it for fucking peanuts, you know, who just want to be around it. So there's not a cap on that. It would just be a case of scaling and getting people in the building and in the space who know the gig. But yeah, I'm kind of not at that point now. I can manage it. It's a shitload of work, but I actually really like it. So keep cruising, I think. Yeah.
So what's the process of when you get clothes in? I've watched your videos a couple of times, but so you got the steamer and all that. Do you want to just run through like how it kind of happened?
Yeah, sweet. Okay, so when I get my camera, like you've already fucking got the old GoPro vloggy, I'll tell the whole story. But it goes mean, I listen to the audio, it actually sounds sweet as well. So I reckon I'm just gonna fucking cop it,
Yeah, bro, I reckon it's actually sweet. And like I don't know what kind of software do you use to?
I don't do anything. I do it all on iMovie on the old iPhone, bro.
Oh yeah, well see, I use iMovie as well. Like I use it on my laptop.
Okay, sweet.
And you know, you got that you set the, I don't know what you call it, but like treble boost and things like that. You know, you do that. Yeah. So very easy to make your voice sound
smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, well, that's a private conversation there, you and I,
Yeah.
about the cameras, but we've been talking about those for fucking months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my process, right? So at the start of every month, what I do is I send kind of a wish list, what I call a wish list, to
Yeah.
a couple of the boys. So the business model, for those who don't know, I have two suppliers that I mainly use, two boys that buy kit for me in the States. I'm not going to give out their names and numbers, so do that groundwork yourself, people.
Yeah.
But I also do buy, so every month I'll also buy the odd bundles, 10, 15 from other suppliers around the States. So I don't just use them, but kind of they're my main, they'll get probably 70% of my kit on any given month. So I'll send them my wish list. I'll say, boys, I'm after this sort of stuff and this style, this fit between these sizes. They'll spend that first week going around collecting it. They'll then send me anywhere from 200, 300, 400 photos of all the clothes with a little fucking description, very brief, like, Minnesota Twins shirt, XL, fits like a large, boom.
Yeah.
And I'll just go through and I'll heart any ones I want, bang, 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 bang. Negotiate a price with them, usually at about $19 to $21 a tee, something like that.
Yeah.
And between $23 to $24 for a crew neck, and then between $25 to $28 for a jacket.
Is that New Zealand?
Jacket, so yeah, NZ, yeah. So those are kind of the margins I operate off, but it kind of gives and takes. Sometimes I get shit for like $6. Sometimes I get shit for $30.
Yeah, right,
sometimes
right.
I get shit for $3, $40, same thing. But that's kind of somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
So I'll send that away, order the kit, sweet, gets on a plane, probably takes a week and a half to get here. Once it gets here, I pull it all out, make sure I get my eyes on it, steam it, use the old Kmart steamer, you can't mess with it. Steam it all up, get it hanging, looking pretty, and then I just start building content out of it. So then the week before the drop is all just snapping photos, videos. I do a vlog where I sort of detail my favorite pieces, which you would have seen yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole model at the moment, man. It's kind of hectic when it does arrive because I've got a week and a half to sort of do it all. But at the moment, obviously, and you would know with this fucking COVID-19, there's delays everywhere. So
don't even get me started, bro.
I heard that.
So do you obviously you get a bit of traction with, like, you got like Nuggy, Aaron Smith, and Quaid and stuff wearing the kit. Is that an ambassador sort of? Do you use ambassadorship, or it's kind of the boys just copying and they just kind of put online to support and things?
Yeah, I don't give anyone free clothes. So the influencer marketing model, I think I did when I started. Like I think I sent Quaid something, and I think I sent Shandor something as well. I can't really remember. Actually, I think Quaid paid for his, whatever it is. So influencer marketing, for people who don't know, is someone with a big following posts picking your shirt, and all of a sudden it's the old model, like when the cool kid at school wears something, everyone wants it.
Yeah.
In our space, if Sean Johnson rocks one of my shirts, everyone wants it. So that was kind of, I knew that, and I was lucky in a sense that the Warriors, through my work with them, there was enough of I was comfortable to reach out directly to guys like Jazzy and Nate and that who I know would like it, and Sam Lasoni as well, like guys who I know would sort of fit it. So I reached out to them, and Jazz copped some quite early, and when Jazzy started, then a few of the other boys started buying them. And I don't really know, I think Azza came in after Quaid. So Quaid was through the Ice connection, so they were all buying it. So it's not like I give anything away to people for free. A lot of the times they do cop at pre-sale, so they'll get in like an hour before everyone else, which is why everyone spews when they jump on the website and some of the stuff is sold out. I don't do that anymore, but that was kind of the way we operated early on. But no, it's been cool, man. Like to see guys like that I look up to, like Aaron Smith and Jordan Kahu, Shandor, all those sort of guys. So like it reinforces if they're vibing with it, then I'm doing something right, because all I do is buy stuff that I like. So it's a little bit of wearing your heart on your sleeve a little bit, like, bro, have a look at this shirt, and if they don't like it, it's like, it hurts, bro. I might keep saying that shit. So that's how it all came about.
What are your thoughts on ambassadorship and that sort of marketing strategy? Because I know I'm sort of looking at going towards it. Feels, like the way I'm thinking about it now is like how much money I spend on Facebook and Instagram ads, how much return I'm sort of getting. And obviously at the start, as you'd know, it doesn't get, you don't get return, and people just go, oh, a few ads, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing it again. It didn't work. But I've just, I've invested a bit of money. As you said, Facebook marketing is an investment, because it is, get stuff straight away. But I'm thinking, like, if I'm to give away free clothes, what's that going to cost me? If I take that away from how much I'm spending on my Facebook advertising, am I going to get more return if I give this guy you know, free clothes and he puts it on his Instagram. Is that something
Yeah.
you would look at?
Yeah, it's look, I'm probably not like I can speak from the influencer side of things, but I don't Facebook advertise, so I don't know
Yeah.
the turnover from that. I would be a good one to ask. I just
Mm.
DM the bloke.
Yeah.
But it would be a case of like the thing with influencer marketing and where we're kind of in a unique spot is we're at an age and we either played with or know someone who played with. Like a lot of these boys are
Yeah.
friends of friends of friends, especially
Yeah.
you. Like, you know, you kind of know someone who knows someone who knows someone if you don't
Yeah.
know them.
Yeah.
So there's automatically an in. But the cool thing about Kiwi and Aussie culture is, you know, mostly a lot of the boys, they won't just cop a freebie. Like they'll,
Yeah.
even if you offer it to them, they'll probably offer to pay. And the
Yeah.
thing like where influencer marketing goes wrong is like I see some vintage pages, they're reaching out to those little thirst traps on Instagram with 100,000 followers who have their ass out in every shot. It's like those aren't real followers. Those are just hungry blokes, you know. Like
100.
whereas someone like Quaid or something who has 30,000 followers, but they're 30,000 people who consume his content every day.
Yeah.
Those are the people you want to target because their reach is wider.
Yeah.
It's not as many people, so you know when they post up in a 138 jumper, it's not going to 2 million people like if you got it on fucking Kim Kardashian, but it's going to 30,000 loyal followers. You know,
Engagement.
does that make sense?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, they're way more engaged, those audiences. So
Yeah.
I know ICE has a method, I'll fuck up the numbers, but he basically has a cap on, he won't use influencers that have more than like 50,000 followers because it just gets fucking murky after there. Like, unless you're someone like Sonny Bill or someone like that who, you know, still they are legit, most of the time it's just fucking bots and thirsty dudes looking for an ass pick. Like it's not on there.
I was given some good advice and I've been thinking about using it with the ambassadorship and stuff where I'm the same. I agree with you where if I'm just giving people free kit and they're posting it, like I don't see a whole lot of return in that. But so I've come up with this, or I haven't come up with it. I had the advice of it, is where I sort of have my certain ambassadors. I've got one down in Christchurch that's keen to do it, but he just needs to get ticked off with Adidas, things like that. And I give them a certain amount of kit, you know, whether it be every collection, I give him 2 pieces, anything extra, he pays for it, cost of goods plus GST, whatever it is. And I then give him his own discount code. So let's just say it's Kobe 10 or something. I give him a discount code. Every time that discount code gets used, I then pay him commission on that. So like I'll say, bro, here's Kobe 10, here's your discount code. I'll pay you monthly. However many people use your discount code, you know, you'll get 5% commission of that sale, you know, like, so you can sort of pay on performance kind of thing.
Yeah, I would, it does sound really good. I would avoid paying them commission on it in the interim. I would just start by saying, here's your discount code, it's Kobe 10, and use it purely for you in the interim to track, all right,
how well he's doing.
I've given him, you know, $300 worth of clothing. And in the 3 months that I've been doing that, 6 people have used a discount code. So I'm seeing, and I've got an extra 100 followers. Cool, it's not worth it. All right, bro. And then it's no hard feelings. You just say, sweet, bro, we're going to, go in a different direction. You use someone else. So I would I'm all about it. Like, I think it definitely works. There's a reason, like, the thing everyone sort of goes back to is, I think it's Ia, Ia, she's the Boss Babies chick on TVNZ. She's like half-caste Asian girl, Kiwi girl. Anyway, anyway, her story is she's the one behind the waist trainer. Did you see those waist trainers? Those things girls used to rock. Like corset things. So she started that, bro. So her whole thing was, she was basically, I'm going to fuck the story up, but pretty much, this is what happened. She's peddling these things out of her garage and, she's going all right and making a little bit of coin. And she basically just, whether she borrowed or saved or borrowed from mum and dad, whatever, got together enough money and she got it on one of the Kardashians, got them to blast it out. And then boom, before that, she's got a 7-figure business. So influencer, I know. And she just basically couldn't keep up with demand and just started peddling them out. Now, professionally, what she does is she comes into businesses hire her as a consultant. She comes in, revamps their whole social marketing thing, flips it, dips out, buys it, dips it, flips out. Like, she's unreal. So, but that's the whole, like, the reason I'm sort of using that as a reference point here is, like, influencer marketing does work and you can see direct sales things, and things like discount codes are an easy way to track that. I would just, I'd avoid flicking them commish because then you shoot yourself in the foot. And if they are, you know, whether it's a footy player or whatever, they don't need the 150 bucks a month, you know. I get that you're sort of doing it out of good faith to try and build a rapport and partnership, but I just roll with that for yourself so you can track it yourself, man.
Yeah. No, sweet. Back to the clothes, back to your clothes, how you're talking about how you bring your clothes in. And this is something I've also been trying to work out, trying to tidy things up, because things like you said, you are quite sporadic, and like, you know, I've been buying clothes and being like, fuck, this is what I think it's worth. I go around and have a look what everyone else is selling it for, and I sell it for that.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to work out, you know, like markups and how much I need to sort of mark it up, so I'm able to scale my business, and you know how I can afford, especially with everything that's going on, like China, the freight here, I'm paying double the freight I usually do to get stuff here.
True.
So like things have to increase. Like I've just registered as a company, I have to pay GST, so I have to incorporate that in. I have to make sure that, you know, I'm not, like you said, shooting myself in the foot and selling something for when I take away all the expenses, I'm actually not making fuck all. With your clothes, do you, without getting too personal, no numbers or anything, but like, do you mark it up, or do you sort of like, this is what I think this is worth?
No, I don't give a fuck telling numbers, bro. It's so when I first started, it was literally all just off feeling. How much would I pay for it? And to be honest with you, I still stick pretty much to that. So vintage is very different. Like, were I in your position, I'd have pretty strict margins, because you want to be able to sell the scale. So you want, say your margin's 60% or whatever. You know, every month, if I sell 80% of my gear, I'm getting this much money, and you know what to prepare for and what to order for. So were I manufacturing, 100% I'll be operating off strict margins. But I try and operate off a margin of 65 to 70%. But where it gets a bit tricky, and I'm telling another yarn here, but Sean Witherspoon is kind of the vintage goat over in the States. So he runs Round 2 Hollywood, which is like the biggest vintage shop in the world. And he's just a fucking cool dude. And he's even more of a vintage nerd than me. He tells a story of how he once paid like $120 for this. He thought it was like the coolest Memphis Grizzlies crew neck he'd ever seen in his life. So he paid 50 US for it. Had it in the store for like 6 months, couldn't move it, ended up selling it for like $25 US, right? That same week he sold it, he pulled a $2 Tupac shirt, bootleg Tupac tee, out of a bin, and some NBA player pulled up and paid like 800 US for it. So, hurts, I know. But that's the reason I'm saying that is, the thing with vintage is a product doesn't necessarily have an exact value worth. Its worth is dictated by each customer. So this kind of circles back to what you said about a story. A Bulls shirt to you might be worth $100, right? But a Bulls shirt to someone who's been a lifetime Michael Jordan fan, who is fucking watching the documentary back to back to back, legally streaming it, to them that's a $500 shirt. So I don't like to put a lot of worth, like hard numbers on things when it comes to bigger purchases. So if a supplier sends me 100 clothes, I go, okay, I need to at least sell them for $70 or something, whatever. But in the back of my mind, when I pull something out, if it's fucking sick, I go, nah, fuck that. That's a $200 shirt. By the other token, I pull it out and I go, there's not a chance I'm paying more than $40 for that. So I'm very sporadic with that as well. There's a theme here, fucking all over the show. But were I in your position, it's very important, I think, to have some pretty strict, markups in place. But for vintage, it's a bit of the Wild West, because a product's worth is kind of dictated by the customer.
What's the biggest struggle you think you've found with vintage, like, running a vintage business?
Biggest struggle, man. From the personal side of things, it's just time. So like, I work till, like I'm supposed to be working today, but I work till about 4 or 5 o'clock every day. Try go to the gym. That's a lie. Try, days. You want to spend time with the missus as well. You have dinner. So I don't probably start work in terms of vintage work until about 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night, and I'm there till sometimes 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So time's been hard, but the time is there. So I wrote a blog about how to side hustle the other day, and that's the biggest excuse people are, bro, I want to do it, but I don't have time. It's like, you do if you want to work. You just got to want to do it. So that's been a struggle, but it's a struggle that I've enjoyed. The business side of things, the hardest part has definitely been logistics. So there's no way around paying for shipping costs. Like everyone always asks me, like, bro, like I've got a very good shipping deal. One of my suppliers knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, sort of thing.
That's the
So
way.
And the other thing is, which is a little hack for people if you want to get in the vintage game, is I get my suppliers to, if the NZ customs are listening, tune out here, but you get them to lower the declared value. So if the value's over 1,000, if it's over 1,000, you just get them to duck it under, so you don't pay tax on it. But anyway, logistics is hard.
Idea,
whether you're sending or receiving, it's tough. You've got to pay it. So that's been something that I've kind of battled for probably 6 months to try and work around, and I've just gone, fuck it, like it's part of the game. Just got to deal with it. But
are you
to be honest, bro, like I'd be lying. Yeah, I am. I am. I'd be lying if I said it'd been a struggle. Like it's been pretty, not easy, but it's been a pretty cruisy ride for me so far. Just because I genuinely love it, bro. Like if it was if it was a job I hated, it'd be a fucking nightmare. If you went into vintage, it's not the game for you. Like a bunch of people have reached out just because they want to make money, and they're like, bro, that seems like such an easy way to make money. I'm like, can't. If you're not into it, dip out, man.
Yeah, 100. What's your so you got the vintage, you got stuff. What's your role in YKTR? What's YKTR Sports in that?
Bro, look at the hair, first of all. Isolation cuts. Holy fuck.
Bro. I keep this cap on 24/7 at the moment.
Oh, bro, I know. The head's sweating. YKTR Sports. Role there, I've got a very fancy email signature. It says content editor written. So that's, I suppose, my role. But basically, we're just a three-pronged team. It's myself, Ice, and Lukey. How it all started, I'll try and tighten this story up because I do fucking ramble. But basically, I've been a fan of Ice, like yourself, been a fan of his content, been a fan of the gear, fan of the boys' story, their vlogs and all that for a minute. And then last year when he sort of started talking about his frustrations with the media and being someone in the media, part of me was taking offense to some of the stuff he was saying, but part of me also knew that he was spitting facts because I have the 50-year-old boss who's telling me to do those negative stories as well, you know, so it's a bit of that. But anyway, he said, I'm thinking about starting this media company. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm fucking in. So emailed him, I DM'd him and I was like, bro, I'm telling you, I'm a journalist. I've been doing this for 5 years. You know, I'm your boy. I'll work for free, sort of shit. And he goes, email me what you've done, what you've written, and stuff. We've got these little author bylines. So it's just a hyperlink to all of our story. Emailed it to him, CC'd in Tash and just basically said, fucking let me have a crack. And he's like, yeah, sweet, done. I flew over with my own coin. I just wanted to get there and sort of get in front of him, which I acknowledge not everyone can do, but it's a great way if you have got someone you admire and you want to get in front of them, is to just pull every string you can to do it. So he was more than happy for me to Skype him and have a chat, and I was like, no, bro, like I'll get on the plane, I'll do it. So I went over there last year in March, I think, February. Probably the end of the year anyway, and had the chat, and me and Lukey were kind of talking about starting at the end of the season. To kind of roll into this year. And then the more we talked about it, we were just like, fuck it, bro. Like this is just going to be a platform for us to tell stories. Like we don't have to we don't have to operate on the round by round season. So we just launched it then when I was on the ground. And it's been fun, man. Ever since then, we now got the Show and Go potty we do 3 times a week. I went back over at the end of last year and for a bit more stuff, just catch up with Scope and that and sort of talk about our plan. Obviously with this virus, it all kind of got fucked, but we got big plans. We recently brought in another one of my boys, Danny, who's kind of doing a bit more of the sales side of things, selling a bit of ad revenue. Again, that dried up with coronavirus, but things are moving, man. So it's been awesome. It's been cool just to pick their brain, and you know, you're in WhatsApp groups with these boys and talking shit, and you know, it's just fun to call them on their shit and they call you on your shit. It's refreshing for me, mate, because I have the 9 to 5 where I'm at stuff doing the traditional journalism side of things. I get home, I'm doing my vintage stuff, and then the next morning I get to do kind of what I want, you know? So the content side of it's just what, basically the whole ethos of it is we want to create written, audio, visual content that you and I vibe with, right? Because we don't care that Aaron Smith ran for, you know, that the Highlanders beat the Canes on the weekend. Like we saw it. Whereas that stuff I got to write about that. Whereas with these guys, we do more about how many Ks Aaron Smith ran, what he smacked afterwards because it was his cheat meal. You know, what shoes he wore to the game, what did he listen to and warm up, like, you know, the shit that we actually want to listen to. So I don't really have a set role with them. It's very floating. Lukey kind of pulls a lot of the strings, and on the content side of it, I dip in and out of the Insta page and that, but Lukey kind of runs all that, and then Ice just green ticks everything or recrosses it if he doesn't like it. And that's kind of the way it works.
Mad. That's cool. That's a cool little setup. With vintage kit, what's your sort of next kind of step you're going to take to expand? You know, like what's your next sort of where to from here?
Yeah, I've spoken about it before. Like, I want to run a pop up here in Auckland. So the big thing about vintage, and the reason I love it so much, is because it's real tangible. Like, you need to get your hands on shit. That's why I through my content, I try and describe every product as best I can, because I know how important fit is.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to run a little pop up here and actually get to meet people as well. Like, you know, you get so many messages every day from people like, love the content, bro. Like, as soon as you do a pop up, I'm going to pull up. Like, it's just going to be cool. So that's kind of the immediate next step. From there, it's just scaling, man. So it's just more kit, more often, whether that's bringing in, whether it's Ice and the boys or any other sort of investor to help scale it. That could be on the cards as well. Obviously, that's, again, this fucking virus. It's all been, you know, all the big plans we had have kind of been stalled. But I don't know, man. Collabs, little 138 hookups. We never know. We'll see how we go. But I don't.
Hold on, bro. I lost you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're there now.
Talk so much shit. The plan, man, is the 9 to 5 fuels the side hustle fuels the investments replace the 9 to 5, the side hustle replaces your investments. That's the way to do it. So
nice, bro.
That's kind of the way I'm operating at the moment, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying watching your journey as well, bro, and I appreciate you pulling me on and talking a bit of rubbish.
It's cool, bro. You wanna make this your full-time gig? Like, you want to sort of get vintage kit to be that kind of, or you always want to have your hand in writing at stuff?
Well, I don't know, man. Like, my dream job is sports reporting, and I'm doing it. So I'm certainly not in a rush to change that. The more, and I spoke to Shandor about this the other day, like, I never thought anything could give me that little buzz and kick that being a reporter does. Like breaking a big story, or like going to the games and chatting to the boys afterwards. Like, I fucking love that. And I knew I loved vintage, but I never think it could replace that. But the more and more I kind of go down this road, I'm like, fuck, I'm getting that same little buzz when I get a whole bunch of new gear, or when I move it. So I think dream case scenario, man, I think I will move on from stuff eventually. Move into YKTR Sport on a more part-time basis, and then let this be my main vehicle. So, and that way I've got way more freedom. Like, Ice is the best boss in the world. He's just kind of expects you to create content and do your thing, and kind of gives you a very creative license, whereas you don't get that in a lot of these big companies, as you know, bro. So it's like, I think that is the plan, but certainly not on the cards. Like, right now, I'm chilling, man. Like, as soon as footy's back in a couple of weeks anyway, so I'll be busy again, and I'm actually looking forward to reporting on a bit of fucking sport for once, man.
Yeah, hard. Be back into it.
It's been a while, eh?
What's the best? What are you in the best story you've covered is? Well, your favorite. Your favorite.
Yeah, favorite story. I got two. So I'm gonna plug myself here. One I did start of last year on Rog on Tui vs. Sheck.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it wasn't a breaking story. So what it was we sat down with Rog for 45 minutes, which is a fucking long interview to get with a footy player. And basically what we did was we just told his story from start to finish as raw as we possibly could. In his words, it was just in a blacklit room, him looking straight down the barrel of this like cinematic lens. I'll send you the link so you can check it. It was just called The Step, and it was basically breaking down the story about how him and his dad built this weapon that he's now turned into a $1 million thing, So that was kind of the ethos of it. And we found this young family in South Auckland that kind of reenacted it and played his family as he was telling his story. So it just flowed real beautifully. And it's Roger's words. He's kind of voicing over this little kid out there in Otara, and he's kind of running around the backyard with his old man as Roger's describing, like, doing shuttles between the clotheslines and stuff like that. So I was really proud of how that came out, and I know Roger liked it as well. So that was cool. The other thing was I did a 5-month project with the St. Peter's First 15 up here in Auckland. For someone, I went to a small school. I went to Green Bay out west here. We played in the first 15, but it was the 4th grade team. 4B champs 2010.
Let's go.
Fuck Waiheke. And so it was cool for me to get a peek behind the curtain of what these real elite schoolboy programs look like and how fucking professional it is, man. Like, for the bulk of people, like, did you play school footy? Did you play first 15 or?
Yeah, I played at St. Kent's, bro.
Oh, well, there you go, can't. Same thing. So, like, for most people, bro, like, we don't understand it. Like, we're the people up in the bleachers swinging our scarves around. Like,
Yeah.
we don't see the work. Like, the part of the reason the story's so cool to me is like, we got these two boys and we followed them for 5 months through the whole preseason, and we're able to see that. Yeah, they were training like professionals and they were getting physio like professionals and getting interviewed like professionals, but they were just kids. Like, it would like, so the way it was cut was like they would be doing that and they'd have these agents calling them and all these weird things going on, and then they'd go have lunch with their mates and like they'd be talking like kids, like you know, and playing ball rush in their uniform and shit. So
bro.
It was really beautiful, like the way, again, that it was one of our visual journalists who shot it, Abby. She did an amazing job with it, and it was cool for someone who wasn't able to play first 15 rugby to get that peek behind the curtain. And the biggest part for me, and the thing I wanted to do, was squash a lot of those misconceptions that these boys are just at school to play footy, that they don't care about anything else, that school's not important to them, because that just wasn't the case. Like, I know a lot of boys it is, but these guys were really plugged in at school. They were plugged into their communities. A lot of them were doing it for their families who, you know, could have sent them to any school out west or south, but, you know, did what they had to drive them every day to get to St. Peter's. So it was an amazing. I was the most proud of that, just because it was so well shot, and it was also a chance for me, as someone who never got to see that world, to actually see that world. So should have done St. Ken's, but they wouldn't let us in.
That's a curtain you can't open, bro.
Just see the money on it over
that. What's the thoughts on, obviously Ice talks a bit about it too, the old uni gig. Did you go to uni?
I did, yeah, dropped out, yeah.
So you didn't finish?
Nah, what are my thoughts on uni is what you're going to say, yeah?
Yeah.
Depends on what you want to do. I don't think it's necessary anymore. So, and this is coming from a guy who went. So I went to Unitec up here in Auckland, studied comms because I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. And then once, through a mate who kind of pushed me in the right direction, when I realized I wanted to do footy, I dropped out of my degree with 6 months to go. Was lucky enough that my old man could pay for me, send me over to Melbourne to go to a journalism college. And it was like a streamlined 1 year jam-packed course where I kind of got everything I really needed. So obviously I'm very lucky, and a lot of people can't do that. So I am aware that I'm lucky. In hindsight, it did get me in the door, which is what you need. But if you're asking if I learned anything valuable in it, nah. Like, you learn kind of everything on the job, don't you? So particularly when it comes to business. So with Vintage, no, I haven't studied a fucking lick of business. Haven't studied fashion, haven't studied design, haven't studied social media marketing, haven't studied any of that. That's all shit you learn from doing and from observing. So like my missus has just started she started an interior home styling business called Make the Bed. And we were talking about her. She said, oh, maybe I need to go to uni. And I didn't want to tell her what to do. I knew that wasn't a good idea, but I was like, you know, let's see how we go and see how you roll and try and make some industry contacts first. And if you have to, we'll do that. She's away now. She's learning every day and getting better and better at social media and more comfortable chucking herself on camera. And she's got bigger industry people reaching out. And it's the uni route, I think, is just so tired, man. It's so expensive as well. It's 3 years. Imagine what you or I are going to be doing in 3 years, bro. Imagine like how big the business is going to be, or where we're going to be at, what we're going to be doing versus. Fucking that's the biggest thing versus sticking our nose in a textbook and being 50 grand in debt. Like
100.
I don't know, man. It certainly wasn't for me. And in terms of the world of business, I just don't think these days you need it.
Well, you learn how to tackle. You don't read a book about it, do you? You go out and do it. So.
Yeah, I still could learn it. I get your point.
I got a couple questions here. Wrap it up with a few questions. Would you play in the NRL if you were offered?
Would I play in the NRL? As size me? Fucking 100. Bro, I would do anything to get one hit up. Absolutely. And I'm telling you right now, I'll do anything to rush out of the line and try and smoke someone as well. I'll blow my shoulder apart and I get bunted, but fucking A.
So Cooney gives you a call. Get over here. We need you.
I tell you what, they're that short on players. I've got my boots ready. I'm ready to go, man. If he needs me, I'll tell you what. And I'll be fitter than half of them as well, mate. Let's be honest. Come on.
Yeah, let's go.
You know what would be cool though on that would be to get a bunch of journos who talk shit all year and play a game for like an opposed session, and get Jazzy Tavana and get a couple of the boys who can absolutely go out there and smoke them to run as well. I'd be a part of that. I'd wear a couple of shots just to fucking put a few on, I think.
Fuck yeah. I'd love to see that. I'd pay money to see that.
Paul Kent running a short ball.
He's not very liked, is he?
Oh, bro, no. He's actually, I shouldn't say that. I've only spoken to him. I've only spoken to him once, and he was nice to me. So
yeah.
Anyway,
All right, we'll brush that one. Netflix go at the moment.
Netflix go at the moment. Nah, on a Disney Plus kick, mate. Off the Netflix, getting my nostalgia in on Disney Plus. Yep, me and the missus. What did we watch? We watched yesterday, Atlantis or some old school. We're watching a bunch of weird Disney movies that like we didn't watch when we were growing up, just because we're fucking weird.
Yeah.
But obviously watching the Jordan doco every Monday. Smack Tiger King in about 2 days. I tried to watch fucking what did I try and watch? The Heist movie,
Money Heist
series. Money Heist. Have you watched it?
Nah, bro. Been recommended it.
Do not. Whoever's recommending it,
true.
Don't like you. No, shit house. I don't know what everyone's going on about.
Yeah. Don't they not speak English? Oh, they do, but
it's dubbed. Yeah, it's dubbed. Is it dubbed? Yeah, dubbed.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like English speaking over it, but you can't get past it. Like, it's just weird because the translations are real, like, accurate. So when they're speaking Spanish and it translates to English, it just doesn't sound like a sentence anyone would actually say. So I'm watching the whole thing, just not believing it. And we got about 4 episodes deep. I don't know if they got away or not, but I'm telling you, it's shit.
Your last one to wrap it up. Your best piss up trip and story.
Best piss up trip and story. Oh, anything I can put on the airwaves. Best piss up trip. I'll tell you what. Going to Aussie last year and meeting the boys. It wasn't like a big night where we got on the piss and got up to mischief, but just having a few beers with Ice and Lukey and Chico as well, and Hoz, and just talking sort of, it's just fucking lame, but just talking talking business and talking like, just general shit, and kind of hearing them relaxed, like hearing footy players talk in a relaxed environment, because I only ever hear them professionally, right? So as much as journos, we like to pretend the players are our mates, they're not our mates. Like they're putting on the face. So seeing them relaxed and being able to let their hair down, having a shisha, having a couple of beers and chilling, like that was cool as for me to see, especially when like the Rabbitohs boys came into the studio and they did the podcast, and then afterwards they just started kicking it around and talking shit. And they're just like you or I, man. Like they're just knockabout boys who, love having a beer and love talking shit and having a punt. So that was kind of the best night on the piss. Unfortunately, it's pretty lame, but that's about it.
That's cool, bro. Nah, shisha and a couple of beers is the time of our lives, eh?
Yeah, can't beat it.
Awesome, bro. Well, appreciate your time, boy, coming on your Friday Arvo.
We could do this every week, huh?
The new show and go.
Yeah.
Bro, but I appreciate it. And I've learned a lot from this too. So thanks for jumping on, bro. If you just want to quickly plug yourself, or anyone that doesn't already follow you can find you, things like that.
Oh, yeah, sweet, bro. I appreciate it. It's just at @vintage_kit on Instagram. And Show and Go. We do the podcast on Show and Go on your podcast apps, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if you want to get around a bit of YKTR banter and a bit of general sports chat, that's the place to go. But I appreciate you having me on, man. Hope I haven't bored you too much.
Nah, that's awesome, brother. All the best. Keep in touch.
Cheers, brother.
Okay, bro.